Dear students, please note down. The PDF file of all these notes have been uploaded in the description of video lecture. Please download your notes. Dear students, in today's lecture we will discuss physical changes in muscle contraction. Dear students, physical changes in muscle contraction. Skeletal muscle fiber during contraction shows following types of physical changes. First of all, we will discuss physical changes. Dear students, first change is shortening of muscle fiber. Dear students, shortening of muscle fiber. As we know, in skeletal muscle fibers, sarcomere is the structural and functional unit of muscle fibers, and this sarcomere at the time of muscle contraction it gets shortened. Both Z membranes, the adjacent Z membranes, they come close to each other. As a result, the size of this I band as well as, dear students, this size of H zone decreases. At the time of maximum contraction, during maximum contraction of muscle fiber, both I band as well as this H zone disappear completely. Dear students, during maximum contraction, both I band as well as this H zone disappear completely. But note down, the length of this size of A band that remains constant. The first physical change in muscle contraction, that is shortening the length of this sarcomere, as during muscle contraction both Z membranes come close to each other. They move inwardly. As a result, both I band as well as H zone disappear. But this length of A band that remains constant. It means during muscle contractions shortening occurs about 60 to 70%. And this shortening of sarcomere, it depends directly on two factors. Dear students, first point is number of motor units are involved in a muscle contraction, and second factor is the strength of given stimulus. These two factors are directly proportional to the shortening of a muscle. First, the number of motor units are involved in a muscle contraction, and second factor is the strength of given stimulus. Second physical change in muscle contraction, that is density and viscosity. Note down competition students, both density as well as viscosity of sarcoplasm at the time of muscle contraction increase. Both density as well as viscosity of sarcoplasm during muscle contraction both increase. Third change, it is muscle tone. Dear students, tonicity or tonus, very important for final exam, very important topic. Muscle tone. Dear students, note down about 5% of motor units. As we know, motor unit that involves a motor neuron, and under this motor neuron about 100, about 1000 muscle fibers work. That is a unit, and about 5% of motor units of a relaxed muscle, they remain in contraction. It means even at the time of relaxation, in a relaxed muscle, the muscle fibers remain contracted. They remain in partial contraction. And dear students, this state of partial contraction of muscle fibers, even in relaxed state, It is named muscle tone, muscle tonus. It is tonicity, and this muscle tone is essential for control and coordination of body. It means these our skeletal muscles, they remain in partial contraction, and this state of partial contraction, even in relaxed state, that is muscle tone, muscle tonicity. Dear students, it is tonus. Next chemical changes, heat production. In muscle contraction, some chemicals are there which produce energy, and these energy producing chemicals are phosphagens like phosphocreatine and ATP molecules. These phosphagens, these chemicals which produce energy. Out of that energy which is produced during muscle contraction, about 2/3 part of that energy, means maximum part, and this part of energy that is used in muscle contraction, while the remaining 1/3 part of energy which is produced at the time of muscle contraction, this remaining energy, about 1/3 part of energy, that is changed into thermal energy. Dear students, the thermal energy, and this thermal energy is involved to maintain our body's temperature, homeothermy. As a result, our body temperature remains constant, and this heat production, this energy change, this thermal energy, it can be measured, and the instrument which is used for its measurement is thermopile, and this thermal energy can be expressed in gram or kilo per calories. The energy, thermal energy, which is released at the time of muscle contraction, it is expressed in gram or kilocalories. This heat production, it is divided into two phases. First is initial heat production, and the second is delayed heat production. This initial heat production, it occurs when a stimulus is applied to the muscle fiber, and it lasts during muscle contraction. This initial heat production, it is further divided into 3 stages. First is activation heat. This activation heat is released during a muscle contraction when a given stimulus is applied, and in response of that given stimulus, the muscle fibers undergo contraction. Second is contraction heat. Point number second, that is contraction heat. Dear students, it is produced during the contraction of muscle fibers. At this time, these cross bridges, head of these myosin filaments, they show movements. This phase is contraction heat. And the third phase in which heat is produced, this one is heat for the work done. Heat for the work done, it is also named Fehn effect. Dear students, it is Fehn effect, F-E-N-N effect. It is the heat produced due to hydrolysis of ATP, that is Fehn effect. And the recovery phase, the delayed heat production. This heat production occurs at the time of muscle relaxation. It means at the time of muscle relaxation, the ATP molecule is resynthesized, And this ATP molecule is generally resynthesized by another phosphogens, phosphocreatine. This phosphocreatine undergoes hydrolysis. As a result, it changes into creatine plus phosphate, and that phosphate molecule involves in the synthesis of ATP. Dear students, in this delayed heat production, the amount of heat generated, the amount of ATP resynthesized, that amount of energy is almost equal to the heat involved at the time of muscle contraction. This is all about physical changes in muscle contraction. Dear students, physical changes in muscle contraction. First of all, shortening of muscle fibers. It means the length of this sarcomere that gets shortened at the time of muscle contraction. Both Z membranes, they come close to each other. As a result, these I bands and this H zone decreases. The size, the length of these I bands and H zone decreases. Density and viscosity. Second point. At the time of muscle contraction, dear students, both density as well as viscosity of sarcoplasm increase. Muscle tone, tonicity, muscle tonus. It means even a relaxed muscle, the muscle fibers remain in partial contraction. That state of partial contraction in skeletal muscle fibers is known as muscle tone tonicity, which is essential for control and coordination of body. And the next physical change during muscle contraction, heat is produced, and that energy, that heat is produced by phosphogens. And these phosphogens, these chemicals are phosphocreatine and ATP, which produce energy. And out of that energy, about maximum part, about 2/3 part of that energy is involved in muscle contraction, and the remaining 1/3 part of that energy is changed into thermal energy. Dear students, thermal energy. And that thermal energy maintains our body temperature, which is essential for homeothermy, to maintain body's temperature constant. And this heat production is further divided into two phases. Initial heat production, and this initial heat production actually starts when a stimulus is applied and it lasts up to the muscle contraction. During that period, the heat is produced. This is initial phase. And when muscles undergo relaxation, at that time ATP is resynthesized. This is recovery heat, or it is delayed heat production. So dear students, this is all about physical changes in muscle contraction. In tomorrow's lecture, we will discuss electrical and biochemical changes in muscle contraction. Thank you.